Good afternoon, Perfume. This is Hani Makola. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
Me, I'm Julie.
Oh,
Our time's been Bruce.
yes.
Honey and Tumian make this to that.
Yeah.
Introduce you, right?
Yeah. And then actually Han is here.
She's online.
So,
Right. Thank you. Okay.
yeah.
No, that's fine. There's no QR code on all of this. So, it's online, but what should I introduce, please?
So I will do that. Hello, This is a child and protection correspondence group. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you very much. So I think we need to start. So this is the ITUT Study Group 17 correspondence group on child online protection. And that you can see in the screen the agenda of second chairman of ITUT Study Group 17, and then convener of the correspondence group will be a Hani remotely. So I will be a moderator, and then Hani will lead the discussions. So first thing, we will look at the TCSA agenda. So first thing, presentation of ITU activities on COP, and then review the minutes of the first COP meeting, and then review the device workflow, review the call for contribution input, and then any other business and growth. Comments. So we should adapt the agenda. And then I would like to offer the presentation of the ITU activities COP. So I invite Hani to present his presentations.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair. There is a delay in the message, so we can hear you initially, and then you get repeated, like we have to wait again for the echo to repeat themselves. Repeat itself. So I could not quite get clear what you just said. Is it time for the presentation? All right. Thank you, colleagues. I am not sure. Thank you, workshop day, the administrator that side. I am, like I said, okay, thank you. So maybe the mute will help in this regard. My name is Hani Makola. I am the convener for the Correspondence Group on Child Online Protection. I am from South Africa. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can, honey.
All right, thank you. I think first on the agenda, before I move on, I think the confirmation of somebody hearing me was from online. Can somebody in the room please confirm that everyone can also hear me there?
Hi, honey. Joy here from BSI. I'm in the room with the ITUT correspondence group members. We can hear you, but it's a bit echoey. There's a bit of reverberation.
We don't have speakers. It's just by
Yeah, I think,
Would it
yeah.
help if we all gather around the
Do you want to
laptop?
come
Yeah, I think
closer?
so.
If Hanny would just be able to give us 2 minutes for
Yeah,
people to sit here.
Honey, could you give us 2 minutes and we'll bring the rest of the members a bit closer to the laptop because we're projecting the sound from one laptop in the room. Please bear with us. Just give us 2 minutes.
Closer, Martin, because the audio isn't.
So, hello, honey, you can hear me?
Yes, Professor Yum, I can hear you now.
Yes, thank you very much. So now we are ready to start correspondence group meetings. So I think that you already introduced the agenda for the second meeting of correspondence group on child online protection. So I assume you can share the slide for the agenda item 1 and then introduce the slide, please. Yes, we can see. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Professor Yum, and please, I apologize for the inconvenience between the physical and the remote work. It was a bit of a challenge, but we obviously don't want to lose a lot of time. Like I said, the purpose of my presentation is to try and explain the ITU to non-ITU members. I mean, the work that we do in the correspondence group on Child Online to non-ITU members. And then just to also explain how the Child Online correspondence group also started. Moving on to the child online protection, just overall what the problem is, obviously is that it's a global challenge, and the ITU sees it as requiring a holistic approach and global response, international cooperation, and national coordination to make sure that all the children are protected from online risk and potential harm. And the guiding principles of this work, like I said, the ITU is guided by resolutions. For those who are not familiar with the work of the ITU, of course, they're guided by resolution, and this resolution basically influences how the ITU does its work. The key resolutions in this regard is Plenipotentiary Resolution 179 on ITU's role on child online protection. There is the WTDC Resolution 67 on the role of the telecommunication development sector in child online protection. And there's also the Council Resolution 1306 on the ITU's role with regard to international public policy issues concerning creating a safer internet environment for the children. So these are the high-level guiding principles on the work that we are doing currently. And then, so based on the guiding principles or the resolutions, then I will be going through an overview of the activities or the initiatives that the ITU does, being the Child Online Global Program, the Council Working Group on Child Online Protection, ITU-D study groups, as well as the ITU-D-T study group 17. So 1, 2, and 3, I will present a high-level overview of what these initiatives are doing, and then we would really like to dwell on ITU-T study group 17, which is where the council, the correspondence group on child online protection is housed at the moment. So overview of the first initiative, Child Online Protection Global Program. Just to mention that this is a program in collaboration and support of the National Cybersecurity Authority of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And it is basically built upon the the four pillars: advocacy, research in county programs, and child participation. So with regard to advocacy, the program seeks to promote a holistic approach to child online protection, which is gender sensitive, age appropriate, and inclusive. And then it also speaks to research where key recommendations are developed and guidance to support relevant stakeholders in that regard. And then the program also offers an in-country program where member states are supported in drafting, adopting, and implementing child online protection into their national frameworks, and ensure that they have comprehensive strategies that involve all relevant stakeholders. And at the core of this global program is child participation. So the ITU values the child, and therefore they make sure that their participation in decision-making processes that include children involve those key stakeholders in this work as well that we are currently embarking on. And then the results of the programs have been so great. These are the results from 2021 to 2024. These are just the key highlights of what the program has done. 5,500 children participated in the capacity building activities. Like we said, the ITU really strive to give children the stage to participate. Parents are also very key. 1,700 parents and educators participated in the training. 405 government stakeholders participated in capacity building activities. 28 countries localized the ITU child online protection guidelines, and 5 countries benefited from the training of the trainers for educators, and 24 online and offline digital skills development training session in 6 official languages. Like I said, these are the key highlights, and this is only from 2021 to 2024, and the work of the program is still ongoing. So we expect to have great results moving forward. And then moving on to the Council Working Group on Child Online Protection. ITU is guided or consists of 3 sectors. That is the ITUR, which deals with spectrum coordination issues, or the radio sector, and then it also has ITUD, which mostly focus on development, and the ITUD, ITUT, which is where this correspondence group is housed. So the ITU Council is then the governing body of the union in between plenipotentiary conferences, and this is where all the sectors now are expected to contribute their work to, and where the work will be done. So the council established a council working group on child online protection. The council established a council working group on child online protection with the terms of reference to exchange views and promote and work on the subject matter. And then they also report to council annually on the activities of the working group on child online protection. And if you need more information on the work of the council working group on COP, it is the web page at the bottom of the presentation. And then moving on, ITUD study groups, like I said, this is the study group that is in charge of development, which provides guidance to member state on strategies, best practices, and cooperative efforts that can be promoted for the benefits of children and support the work of the council working group. So the ITUD has 2 study groups, which is study group 1 as well as study group 2. And within the study group, how their study method is in such a way that they have study questions. Maybe if you are familiar with the work of the T sector, this could partly refer to work items, but it's really where the different countries and member states submit the work of what they are doing in their countries so that they can help develop and do an interchange and collaboration on this work. That brings us to ITUT study group 17. Going back to the guiding principle for the work on COP, the plenipotentiary resolution on child online protection, ITU's role on child online protection, specifically instructs the director of the TSB. Like I said, this is the standardization sector, to encourage the ITUT study groups to, among other things, seek appropriate solutions to help governments, organizations, and educators protect children online. And that is what brings us to what the study group 17 and the initiative that they have undertaken to make sure that that resolution is implemented. So high level, ITUT study group 17 is responsible for building confidence and security in the use of information and communication technologies. The study group usually meets twice a year, and usually for 2 weeks, where the work of the study group, which is based on member state contribution or driven by member state contribution, is then discussed, and the work is undertaken there. And study group 17 is the lead study group for security, and it covers 2 main study areas, which is providing security by ICT and ensuring security for ICT. Just high level as well here, these are some of the areas wherein study group 17 is involved when it comes to security. You will notice that on this slide, there is no specific work that is highlighted on child online protection, but there are some work such as identity management that has an impact or may have an impact on child online protection. So this is high level, and bearing in mind that the work that the study group 17 does is informed by the mantra, security is absolutely first everywhere. And that is also what the correspondence group on child online protection wants to live by, and to make sure that we continue that mantra of the study group. So this is not all the work of the study group 17. These are just some of the areas. Mechanisms for work on child online protection, like I said, that's not all the work. So to try and study the issue of child online protection, the study group developed a mechanism, and that was the correspondence group on child online protection. The correspondence group was established in March 2024 to identify the scope and gap of child online protection in standardization in study group 17. And the main task per the terms of reference, which can be shared later on for some of the colleagues that do not have, to conduct a comprehensive analysis of existing international standards, regulations, and all the ongoing initiatives related to COP, actively collaborate with relevant stakeholders, which is why we are also at this summit, including governmental bodies, standard development organization, and so forth. So just to know how to get involved with the work of the COP, please sign up to the mailing list to receive updates, meeting notifications, as well as call for contributions. For the mailing list, it can be found in the ITU My Workspace, as displayed on the presentation. And then on the left hand of the menu, if you scroll down to mailing list, that is the correspondence group that you will find there. But if you do not have an ITU account, you follow the other one, www.itut, the TICE account, where you will create a TICE account before you can be allowed to subscribe to the mailing list. So like we said, the work of the study group is open to everyone, not just the members of the ITUT. And then I found this quote quite interesting by Nelson Mandela, who said, "Our children are the rock on which our future will be built, our greatest asset." So as we delve and we go into the conversations on this important work, maybe we just keep that in mind, and hopefully it will inspire us, all of us, like I said. Yes, thank you. And then the resources on COP, the ITU resources, can be found on the links that are provided in the presentation as well. So this is the end of my presentation. If I can ask if there are any questions or comments or input. Thank you.
Thank you, Hani. So, are there any comments or questions regarding this presentation?
It might be helpful to know who's online.
Yes.
And also because clearly people online won't be able to see who's in the room too.
So you need to maybe to roll call.
A roll call would be wonderful.
Yeah. Yes, we'll start. So currently we are on site, 6 participants. So we will ask each participant to introduce yourself very briefly. Please start. Or you can start now.
Hello, my name is Han from Korea. Nice to meet you.
I'm Mark Roberts. I'm with the Age Verification Providers Association, and I'm actually from Los Angeles.
I'm Luis de Salvador from Spain, the Spanish Data Protection Authority. We currently involved in many initiatives regarding age verification.
Good afternoon. Welcome to a rather damp Manchester. So David Wright, I'm CEO of a UK charity SWGF and a director of the UK Safety Net Centre. I've been involved with the ITU, with ITU-D and COP for many years. So we'll be able to give a bit more context that happened before 2021 from ITU-D perspective as well. So some of those particular aspects.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Charlotte Ainsley, also from the UK Safer Internet Centre, Head of Policy and Public Affairs.
Thank you. And then I would like to check the participation list remotely. So I would like to invite Hani to introduce yourself briefly. Hani, you have the floor.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Hani Makola. I am from South Africa. I work with the Independent Communication Regulator, and I am the current convener of this correspondence group on child online protection. Thank you.
Thank you. I see Tony Holmes from UK. You have the floor, Tony.
Thank you, Professor. I'm Tony Holmes from the UK, Head of UK Delegation to Study Group 17.
Thank you. I see AFS. So please introduce yourself.
Hi, Professor, and good evening from Jakarta, everyone. My name is Arsha Nafanarima. I'm based in Indonesia. I am advocacy specialist to Chalfont International Asia region. It's great to see you all.
Thank you very much. I see Cynthia. You have the floor.
Good afternoon, good morning, everyone. My name is Cynthia Nsufi. I'm from the Ministry of Communication and Digital Technologies, South Africa. Thank you.
Thank you. I see Sipokachi. You have the
Thank you, Thank you, Chair. Good morning, colleague. Good afternoon, colleagues. My name is Sipokazi Novugoza from South Africa, from the Ministry of Communications and Digital Technologies, working at the CSART. Thank you.
Thank you. I see Aisha.
Oh, yeah, I thought it was me. So hi again, Professor, and good evening, everyone. My name is Aisha Nafanarima. I'm from Chalfont International Asia region. I'm based in Indonesia. So at Chalfont International Asia region, I do advocacy work. Chalfont International Asia, it has work in India, Indonesia, the Philippines, Sri Lanka, and Thailand. It's great to see you all.
Thank you. I see Amina. You have the floor. Amina from Nigeria. You have the floor, please. We'll come back. And then I see Arnold. You have the floor, Arnold.
Yes, hi everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. So Arnaud Teddy, based in Geneva, I'm SD17 Vice Chair, and supporting whatever SG17 creativity wants to do, like channel and protection. Happy to be there. Please note that David Wright and I are co-author of an internet draft in the AETF that is concerned by encryption, end-to-end encryption. Thank you.
Thank you, Arnold. I see Elizabeth. You have the floor.
Hello, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Yusa. I work with the telecoms regulator in Nigeria. Glad to be here.
Thank you. I see Fatima.
Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Fatima Zara Oziri from Nigeria. I work with the Nigerian Communications Commission. Nice to meet everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. I see Fred. You have the floor.
Hello, everyone. This is Fred Carter. I am with the Ontario Information and Privacy Commissioner of Ontario. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. I see Jillian. You have the floor.
Good afternoon, everyone, and good day. This is Jillian Makamara from the ITU. I support study group 17 from the Secretariat side. Thank you.
Thank you. I see Leoma. You have the floor. Leoma Pasi.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Ijoma Basi. I work with the Nigerian Communications Commission, and that's the telecoms regulator for Nigeria. Glad to be here, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. I see Jen Parson.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the invite. Defend Digital Me. We are a civil society organisation based in the UK. I'm here in that capacity, but I'm also part-time a consultant for the Council of Europe Artificial Intelligence and Work and Education Working Group, and supported the writing of guidelines for data protection in the education sector. So age and age assurance mechanisms are of interest to us as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I see another Leoma Cherry Pasi. You have the floor.
I'm sorry, I've introduced already. I'm connected on 2 devices. Apologies.
Thank you very much. And then I see Kabiru. Kabiru, you have the floor. Kabiru, you have the floor. Oh. So I see Norman, you have the floor.
Good day. My name is Norman Gidi from South Africa, from the Independent Communications Authority of South Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I see Omonjo Kia. You have the floor.
Hello, everyone. My name is Omozukwe Giwa from the Nigerian Communications Commission, Nigeria. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. I see Saeed Ali from Qatar.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Chair. This is Said Ali from the Communication Regulatory Authority, State of Qatar. I'm also the co-convener for the Correspondence Group for Child Online Protection. Thank you.
Thank you. I see Esther from South Africa. You have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Esther Hopane. I'm from South Africa. I'm with the Independent Communications Authority. Thank you.
Thank you. I see Samir. Samia. You have the floor.
Hi everyone, I'm Samia. I'm currently based in Geneva, Switzerland, and I've been researching on artificial intelligence and child online protection. Nice to be here.
Thank you. I see Saudatu. You have the floor.
Good day, everyone. My name is Saudatu Shagari from the Nigerian Communications Commission. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you. I see Ms. Xiaowei Yang. You have the floor.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shoya Yang, and I work for the Telecommunication Standardization Bureau, and I'm the secretary for ITOT Study Group 17 Security, which is the parent study group of this correspondence group of child online protection. Jillian was my introduced previously was my colleague. Thank you.
Thank you. I see Jilun Jilia from AFS. You have the floor. Sorry.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Zilungile Tunzi from South Africa. I work for Independent Communications Authority of South Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I see Songche Pa. You have the floor.
Do you hear my voice?
Yes.
Hello, nice to meet you all. Well, actually, I'm here in Manchester for Working Group 5 meeting, and I was just participating for the age assurance discussion right a while ago, and I'm very happy. Oops, sorry. I'm very happy to see you all here for child online protection. Thank you.
Thank you. I see Tara. You have the floor. Are there anyone whom I missed? Thank you very much. And then,
Afternoon, everyone. My name is Maliche Malekalakala. I'm from South Africa with the Film and Publication Board, an entity under the Department of Communications and Digital Technologies. Thank you.
thank you very much. Are there anyone?
Kujo
Hello,
from
Mr. Chair. You actually missed
Ghana.
on Samira. So, hello everyone. My name is Samira Dambram from the Nigerian Communications Commission. It's nice to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I see Mr. Kwame Kwana. So you have the floor. Mr. Osapomapho.
Yes, hello, I hope you can hear me. This is Kujo from Ghana. I am part of the study group and here to support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there anyone want to introduce yourself? Thank you very much. So I think that we finished first item, presentation on ITU activities on COP. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, move on. So second item is review the minutes of the first correspondence group COP meetings, which was held, I believe, that 1 month before. So I would like to invite Hani to present the second items, review of minutes of the first COP meetings. Please.
Thank you, Chair. So this is the draft report of the first meeting. The meeting was held on the 22nd of March. It was only online. 33 participants were present. And in the Annexure A of this meeting report, there is a list of participants and who they represent. And further to that, the meetings of the work of the COP are shared in the website that is there. And the work of the correspondence group, it was emphasized that it is mostly done through the mailing list, which everyone should subscribe to, or if you want to be part of the work of the CG COP, where you will have to be. So the primary aim of the meeting was to obviously initiate the work of the CG COP, and that was done by, first of all, reviewing the terms of reference, as well as the work plan that included the schedules of the meetings and other key milestones for the work contribution. In terms of the review of the terms of reference, there was only one review done with regard to adding Mr. Ali, a representative from Qatar, as a co-convener. Like I said, the suggestion was welcome. And however, it was noted as part of the meeting discussions then that the introduction of a new co-convener would need to be formally adopted at the Study Group 17 meeting. And various options were considered to address the issue. And I have, in the meantime, forwarded the proposed amendment to add Mr. Ali to the terms of reference as a co-convener to the management of the Study Group 17 for consideration. With regard to the review of the work plan, I apologize. I'm very cognizant of the time and the number of items that we still need to go through. So I'm just going to do a high-level presentation of the report. I will not go into detail, but like I said, it was shared on the mailing list and it is also available on the IFA. So the review of the work plan, there was a lot of great input that was shared on the review of the work plan. But I think with regard to the update, because it was track changed, the update of the work plan will then deal with the issue to show how the initial work plan was updated to make sure that we start the work of the CG COP. And there were no contributions that were received for the meeting. And for this meeting, one of the agenda items that we will be discussing is to improve and to work on the call for expert contribution that will then be shared later on in time for the deliverables, especially in May, in terms of the gap analysis and the scope and gap analysis, that which is one of the first work items that the CG COP will have to produce. And then any other business, it was then reported that the CG COP had been invited to this summit, the Global Age Assurance Standard Summit, and that the meeting will be taking place today. And then in terms of the next steps, like I said, the convener, which is me, I sent the terms of reference to the Study Group 17 management, incorporating the proposed amendments regarding the convener. And I have also updated the work plan, which was disseminated to the CG COP via the mailing list, which is to be discussed at this meeting for finality. Like we said, the work plan, I need to emphasize again, it's a living document that will help us guide the work that we need to achieve. So inputs are welcome on that. And then, yeah, that is the presentation, Chair, of the report of the first meeting. I hand over to you. Thanks.
Thank you, Hani. Are there any comments? Since 1 month ago, there was a virtual first meeting of correspondence group on fundamental system. So this is a report of the first meetings. Are there any comments? I see none. So I suggest to move the next items, agenda items. Please open the agenda again. Agenda is device work plan for correspondence from COP, including schedule of the meeting and other key milestones for CDCOP. So I again invite Hani to present this device work plan. You have the floor.
My apologies for the delay. Yes, so the work plan is from Hani Makola, from me, the convener, as well as Mr. Ali, who helped work on the plan as well, based on the input, like I said, that was received in the first meeting of the correspondence group. So you will note that the deliverable, the objective, the first objective, which I spoke on earlier, is supposed to be the scope and gap analysis. But to get to that, we obviously have to have a plan on how that is going to be achieved, and all the work that is mentioned in the terms of reference. So in terms of the objectives, the development of a draft work plan, the activities is to develop a plan in consultation with relevant stakeholders, which is what we are here for. And then the output, the first work plan, like I said, was reviewed at the 2022 March meeting. And then the second draft plan for adoption is now here at this meeting in agenda. And then the status is on the far right of this meeting. And I have also included the associated meetings, the expected outcomes of the meetings, the proposed start date, as well as the end date to make it more comprehensive and to make sure that we are all aligned in terms of what needs to be achieved. Regarding the scope and the gap analysis, so the activities is obviously identifying the existing international standards, regulations, and ongoing initiatives related to COP. And some of the way we will be doing that over and above the research is to issue a call for expert contribution on international standard, which is the work item that will be reviewed later on. The responsibilities, obviously, the CG COP as a whole, obviously led by the conveners. So the start date was 5 April, and they're expected to be done by 19 April. And then, so the associated meeting of that is obviously this meeting that we are in, and we expected to make sure that immediately after this meeting, the call for contribution is actioned on 5 April 2024. And over and above the call for contribution, the meeting is expected to recommend the international standards, regulation, and ongoing initiatives related to COP with the proposed gap analysis. And then the second one is to conduct a thorough gap analysis to pinpoint areas where standardization is lacking. We said that the output will be a draft section in the draft report, one on the gap analysis to pinpoint areas where standardization is lacking or insufficient. That will be led by the CG COP conveners. The proposed start date being 22 April, ending on 31 May. There's no meeting associated with this output. However, the work will be performed through the correspondence and the email. So that is why it is important to subscribe to the mailing list so that we can get input via the correspondence, because the work is a correspondence group. And then on the terms of reference, there is collaboration. And then the activities obviously includes engaging with relevant stakeholders, including SDOs and technical experts. We said that this is where we will also get to collaborate with the experts, especially those that are physically present in the Manchester meeting. And then the expected outcome obviously is for the adoption of the minutes, the review of the second draft work plan, discussion on the standards, and to work on the gap analysis along with the relevant stakeholders in collaboration. And then another activities, the active engagement with leading experts, especially at this summit. And then in terms of reporting, the proposed start date of drafting the report is 4 June, and the proposed end date of drafting the report will be 12 June. That will be from the CG COP conveners in consultation with the entire group. The output is proposed to be an input document with the draft comprehensive report outlining the landscape for COP standardization, including identified gaps. Also an input document with the draft roadmap detailing steps for addressing identified gaps, and then the request for expert contribution that goes with that, and then the submit of the input document to the meeting of the 2 to 6 September of the study group meeting. So, like I said, the activities above are not associated with any meeting, but the last activities, which includes the submission of the document of the comprehensive report, the draft comprehensive report, which is intended to be discussed at the study group 17 meeting, is obviously associated with that meeting. And we know that there is a meeting of the July e-plenary where the deadline will be announced for the contribution deadline. And then action plan development. So based on the analysis and the stakeholder feedback, the activity there will be to develop an action plan outlining specific steps to prepare study group 17 for COP standardization, consider issues such as issuing calls for express contribution, disseminating outcomes via liaison statement, and soliciting feedbacks from the relevant groups. I don't know what's happening to my screen. Yes, the start date will be 2 September and the end date will be 5 September. You will note that the action plan development is intended to be proposed to be conducted during discussed and done during the study group's 17 meeting in September in Geneva, alongside with the rest of the study group. And then implementation and feedback, which includes the implementing the activities, soliciting feedback from relevant groups, and amending the terms of reference if necessary to accommodate the evolving needs. This review will be done at the beginning of the next study group, and this might need to be informed by certain WTSA or outcomes. So, Chair, I present the work plan to you. Thanks.
Thank you, Hani. So, as you may know, I2 work is based on the study period, consists of 4 years. So this study period start 2022, and then will end 2024. So, and then there will be a WTSA 24 meeting assembly in India, New Delhi. So I think that this action plan provided by the convener of the correspondence group to reflect the agreement of the previous first correspondence group meetings. Are there any comments? Because next study group 17 meeting during this study period, since this is a last year of this study period, so 2024, and then next study group 17 meeting will take place 11th, 12th e-plenary, not a physical meeting. And then last meeting of this study period will take place September 2 to maybe 7 in Geneva physical meetings. So as I mentioned, this correspondence group has been established at the last February-March 2024 study group 17 meeting. This is a initial stage of our works. So to identify some gap analysis, conduct a gap analysis, and then to identify issues that needs to be done by the study group 17 in terms of the standardization point of view. So as already introduced by Hani, that we have an ITUD. So for example, for the development center, and then we have a council working group, IT working groups. It's a very high level. So study group 17 is working on responsible for developing technical standard to build competence and security in the use of ICT. So I think that child online protection could be one of the topics that study group 17 needs to do. So that is a current status. Are there any comments or questions regarding this device work frame? I see none, and then I do not see any raising hand from the remote participation list. So in the cases, I would like to move to the next items. Thank you, Hani, for your excellent presentations. And then next items, according to our device work friends, we review the call for contributions or inputs. So please open documents for call for contributions and inputs. Hani?
I apologize. I was speaking on a muted mic. Yes, this is a presentation of the call for contribution for identifying gaps, standardization gaps in child online protection. That just gives a brief overview of the problem statement, being that this is a part of the ongoing efforts through child online protection. The council group would like to ensure the safety and well-being of all children in the digital age, and we are now initiating a call to identify gaps in international standards and regulations related to COP initiatives, and we are seeking expertise on this important issue. The primary objectives being to identify existing international standards and regulations and conducting a thorough gap analysis. And then we outline the objectives of what we are trying to achieve and the activities where the experts can then contribute. Chair, I present. Thank you.
Thank you, Hani. So this is a call for contributions. So, and then objective is 2 items: identifying existing international standards and then regulations, and also conducting a thorough gap analysis. So to meet 2 objectives, so we publish this call for contributions for the all relevant organizations, including SDOs. Are there any comments or suggestions? I see none from the physical participants. And then I do not see any raising hand from the remote participations. So in the cases, I would like to go to the next items. Next item is any other business. I see one hand from Arnold. You have the floor, Arnold.
Yes, thank you, Chair. In fact, the question is before we go to any other business, because I do see the intention and the plan, and I have really no issue with it. But what I would like to think is in practice, right? How are we going to organize the, and I'm really thinking from a technical perspective. I need the help from experts on child online protection itself to prepare a structure for people who are not coming from that space to help. By now, I do understand technology to a certain point, but I'm not sure about all what child online protection means. Right? So I understand, for example, the network security piece, the endpoint security piece. I do understand the identity security piece, but is it complete? First of all, could we have a map from people who master that every day, who have done that since years and decades, that they can tell me, all right, channel protection today means A, B, C, D, E, F, In some countries, it means A prime, B prime. So what would be the nuances, the spectrum that we could imagine that is available today? And then we could ask ourselves, is this going to be the same in the future? Because the answer exactly on both network and endpoint security, the answer is no. And the answer in identity is moving positively for a change. So I would really need to have somebody to make a contribution to plant the scene from a technological perspective. Because if not, people like me cannot act, right? We cannot provide some help. We cannot help identify the standards. We cannot do that. So that would be my my call of action for people who are really masterizing channel protection. Thank you.
Thank you, Arnold. Very good questions. So, Arnold, so if I can respond to that. So it's David Wright, Director of the UK Safe Internet Centre. And like I said at the outset, I've been involved with ITUD and with child online protection for probably nearly 10 years now. And so much more in that child protection space, not in the technical space. So we've had the pleasure of attending ITU Child Online Protection Council meetings. We heard from Honey some of the work that the IT or that the COP Council has done. And indeed does do, is discharges through those particular resolutions. She also shared some of the numbers that the programme has engaged. So in actually let's go back to 2009. Firstly, the Child Online Protection guidelines were first developed and first published. So those were particularly for policymakers and ones for industry. In 2020. 11 years later, they were updated. And so I, for example, led the revisions of the policymaker guidelines. So some 60 organisations through 2020 who updated those. So in terms of the guidelines for policymakers, it's in the broad context of child online protection. So, for example, and the audience here is member states. So thinking about your legislative programme. So what legislation do you have available within your country and within your jurisdiction around child online protection? How is the judicial process set up? How well informed are law enforcement? What does generally media literacy programmes look like? What does helplines look like? So it's interesting that we've got someone from Helpline and Child Helpline International on. What tools are available by industry to help support child online protection? So a broad set of aspects, which again freely published on the Child Online Protection Guidelines website. There were also then particular content that was created for children, so using Sango, the character, around engaging with particularly children. So as Honey said as well, youth contribution is really particularly really important. There was guidelines that were set up for parents and also guidelines that were also set up for industry. So a whole set of particular guidelines. So that was in the round. We have as well had the fortune on behalf of ITU Europe to work in different countries. So for example, producing landscape reports for the Republic of Georgia, for Ukraine, for Moldova, for North Macedonia. So where the landscape reports on behalf of the ITU were essentially drafted and shared with those countries to give them recommendations around how their children going online can be better protected. This year's COP Council meeting in January was, I think, the genesis of this particular correspondence group. So we contributed aspects around the direction of travel around technical standards, so emerging technical standards. And really, which I'll kind of come back to, but essentially raising a flag about the impact that those emerging technical standards have on child online protection. So, for example, so Arnold and I worked on a document that went to the IETF around the new emerging ECH standards, so encrypted client hello standards, and particularly the impact that that was going to have on the ability for safeguarding mechanisms that are set up to protect children. They essentially may not work in the same way. Also, we've seen, so again, this is kind of the general direction of travel in terms of emerging technical standards. So we're seeing encryption and everything being encrypted, which is, I think we all support privacy and we all support security. But the point here as well is that there are unintended consequences around encryption, the emergence of everything being kind of encrypted, and thinking about the consequence of that on child online protection. For example, end-to-end encryption that is being deployed across messaging platforms, but the impact that's going to have, which is the point we made at the Child Online Protection Council, the impact that's going to have on platforms being able to identify the sharing of child sex abuse material online. If you look at I know 2023 numbers have been released, but the 2022 numbers that National Centre for Missing and Exploited Children published, so 32 million reports they've received from platforms, 27 million of those were received from Meta. With end-to-end encryption turned on, we fear that's going to go down to next to nothing. So we'll be blind to some of those aspects around sharing of child sex abuse material online. An example around the impact, the consequence on children of emerging tech standards, particularly to do with end-to-end encryption. So that was, I think, like I said, the genesis, that sharing that with the Child Online Protection Council was then, the spark was then to go and create this correspondence group with SG17, as Arnold said, well, what are the tech standards that we need to kind of consider as part of this? What are the impacts of the emerging standards, the technical standards that we have on children in this particular way as well? So it's very much a blend, I think, of ITU-D and ITU-T. I'm not familiar with ITU-T at all, and the sort of tech standards, our world's been one of ITU-D. And I don't know if Arnold, there was anything in there as well that I may have missed.
Thank you very much, David. So are there any further comments or response? Arnold, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you, Chair, and thank you, David. No, David, it was really inspiring, your intervention, because I did not realize about the guidelines, because the guidelines maybe is the starting point I missed so far, because this could give me a view about already the weaponry that has been created and updated apparently by a number of stakeholders, and that could be a really good start to understand from a policy making what it implies, and from there perhaps you can reverse engineer what is needed from a technology perspective, and therefore understand and assess if there are needs for standardization or not, right? This is always the same issue. It's not because something is there that there is need for standardization, and then if there is need for standardization, is it in the ITU or other places? I imagine it will be a patchwork. And finally, if it comes to the ITU, let's not forget we have the issue of Resolution 130 on Resolve 5 on content that is going to give us a limit. Not that we cannot underpass that limit, but this requires a counter resolution, at least at WTSA level. So maybe we could capture already these interventions here. For what concerns our internet draft with David and other people, for the audience here, I hope people realize it's not just David and I, it's other people are authors of this internet draft, including Paul Vixie, the author of the DNS itself. But let's make sure and recognize the fact that the IETF has so far made everything it could to avoid accepting this new work item, because we are showing something they don't like, or that their baby is ugly and they don't like it. So it's not finished, but it's interesting to see that the situation is now reaching out to the ITU as well. So It is going to be a huge problem because if encryption does not allow to identify the destination where a user goes, it's impossible to act. It's impossible to block or filter. Now, of course, if I understand correctly, the objective of channel protection is not actually to block or filter, but is remove the bad content, which is very reasonable. But for plenty of reasons, there are moments where you cannot remove it until you know. And so that's why we need to have an intermediary posture to filter and block, let alone that there is some adult content that is legit, but it's just not should be exposed to children. So it's a very complex area. The complication is the IETF, for the same reasons, does not even want to entertain the possibility for client side to be scanning anything, which is going to be really impossible to do our job on channel and protection at all. And that's really a problem we should at least understand, recognize, share, and help people here to have enough information to understand what we are facing here. And on that, I will give back the floor. Thank you.
May I just come back? So, Arnold, thank you very much. It is really helpful. I think, you know, setting that challenge down from a technical perspective or technical standards perspective. So essentially, how do we protect our children from the worst content? And I say the worst content that they may be exposed to. So at the moment, some parents, some families, I think, rely on some of these technologies. And if they're going to be made obsolete by encryption or by other privacy standards, well, either there needs to be some form of standards that will allow them to continue to protect their children from the worst content that is online, or technologies or the emerging standards need to perhaps accommodate some of these particular aspects. So that I suppose in a nutshell is what I would suggest that this correspondence group needs to consider, needs to tackle. How do we protect children from the worst content that's available, that they could be exposed to online, whether that's by on purpose or by accident? Certainly, I think most children will encounter pornography and other aspects, you know, by accident or unintentionally. And how can we help protect them from that?
Arnold, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you, Professor. I will be short. Yes, thank you, David. No, I fully agree with you. I wonder if we should share our current internet draft as well here for people to review. As well, just people be mindful that we have a GitHub, and on the GitHub I have 2 pull requests about one about channel and protection that has not been merged yet, simply because we were in Australia recently with IETF 119. But if the audience want, I can share the links and people can comment and help. Thank you.
Thank you, Arnold. Are there any further comments or suggestions? Thank you. May I move to the next item? I see one hand from Malitama. You have the floor.
Thank you very much. So mine is rather more of like a statement that I want to pose to the group just to see in terms of child online protection, how do we then define it? Because Arnold raised the point to say that from the technical aspect of things, there needs to be an understanding from that operational point of understanding what really the subject matter is. So then does it mean that as we are sitting here as different institutions and different countries, then we have the responsibility to make sure that we have a clear understanding of what constitutes child online protection? Are we talking about harmful content that children are accessing? And also if we're talking about that, and obviously now we're talking about age verification and so forth. do we also then take into consideration that ITU is very diverse and we have different communities with socioeconomic status, literacy standards, and so forth? So now the question becomes, do we think that in our setting of standards, we need to be considerate of how we design our efforts to make sure that they are actually accessible to almost each and every nation? Because another point is when we talk child online protection, we've got different countries which have different definitions in terms of when it comes to consent, to access, and so forth. So does that then mean that we also need to make sure that we do our proper research just to make sure that we cover how a child is looked at, how access is looked at different countries, just to make sure that our approach to child online protection, it actually covers each and every region, whether developed, underdeveloped, or developing countries? Thank you.
Thank you very much, David.
May I respond back to that? Because it is a fundamental question. So, the definition of what child online protection actually constitutes, and I say that too because played a big part in the revisions of the policymaker guidelines back in 2020. And if you'll indulge me a moment, and I'm just really reading here from the guidelines, but it might help inform that, or at least provide some context to what ITU of the Child Online Protection Council considers to be child online protection. So the scope of child online protection extends to any harm that children are exposed to online, covering a broad range of risks that threaten the safety and well-being of children. It is a complex challenge that must be approached from multiple angles, including legislation, governance, education policy, and society. In addition, child online protection must be based on an understanding both of general and country-specific risks, threats, and harms facing children in digital environments. This requires clear definitions and the establishment of clear parameters for intervention that include and differentiate between acts constituting a crime and those that, while not illegal, nevertheless pose a threat to the well-being of a child.
So thank you. So are there any further comments? Yes, please.
Yeah,
Please introduce yourself.
From the German Digital Opportunities Foundation. I think what you just read out is a very comprehensive definition. I'm just wondering whether it should be a little more future-oriented, so to include also virtual reality environments like metaverse, for example, which is so far not explicitly in the definition. It could be covered, but I think it needs to be mentioned.
I agree. Yes. So actually, study group 17, we are now preparing the next study period, starting from 2025 to 2020. We agreed to define a metaverse security and digital twin security as a future topics for study group 17 that needs to be done. So for the next study period, so we'll definitely we'll look at that aspect. Thank you. And then I see Said Ali, co-convener of this correspondence. You have the floor, Said.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Chair. I just would like to highlight that in the call for contribution that gonna be sent. So there is a very important thing, which is to achieve the objectives of identifying the existing international standards and regulation, as well as conducting a thorough gap analysis. There are a set of activities that we are asking for contributions. And the first one is defining the existing challenges and vulnerabilities faced by children in the digital space, which is a very important activity that we are asking contribution for, and that actually matching to the point that we were just discussing about defining what we mean with the child online protection, or what may be the challenges and issues and pains and problems that we need to solve or to find solution for it. As Mr. Arnaud has said, usually technical solutions are for a problem. So where is the problem? So that's why we are asking for contributions to know more about the challenges that the children has been facing in the digital age. So this is what I just need to highlight. That's why we are asking for contributions, as actually that will help a lot in defining the problem that we need to find solution for. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Said. I agree with you that contribution and input is very important to achieve our correspondence activities. So with this, I would like to go to the next agenda items. Any other business? Are there any other business? Yes, Arnold, you have the floor. Probably you have another items.
Yeah, yes, sorry, Chair. It's not in any other business. It's to rebound on Mr. Ali's very good point. So in fact, to be very precise, my request to David and our colleagues who are very strong on the topic, maybe if you could just make a contribution by saying by identifying the documents like these ITU guidelines or these policy makers guidelines on the D sector, where probably all of what we've asked has already been identified. And if you could just make a simple contribution saying all the threats and concerns are in section XYZ of that document, section ABC of that document, the technologies, the techniques used are in this section or that section, the tool for industry. I think that what Mr. Ali and I would be very happy with is just a contribution that would start with this. So I hope it's not asking too much, but it could be just a one-pager. But I think if we could have this contribution, that's the only way to start the work. Even if we know that we have guidelines and so on, that's how we work in the ITU. So just if David and others who are as strong as David on the topic could gather together and make us this input, this would be fantastic. Thank you.
Maybe you
so Arnold, yeah. So it's David again. You commit to doing that, to summarising that, and there is certainly in the policymaker guidelines, and I'll share the links for the various documents. There is sections specifically on what the threats and what the risks that we defined are. Clearly, this was 2020, and so as Uta said, it needs some updating because it's clearly 4 years ago, and so some of those technologies need updating in terms of the impact of different technologies. But certainly, there is a description of what the key threats. So, section 2.4 key threats are to children online, and it builds very much on Professor Sonia Livingston's work around global kids online and the 3 C's, and now it's actually the 4 C's that of content, contact, conduct, and contract-related issues and threats that children experience online. So, yes, I will commit to provide some summary to that and give that back to the group.
Thank you very much for your commitment. So actually, I believe that, as I mentioned, correspondence on study of 17, another correspondence on study of 17 preparation for the next that period. So agree to adding some sentence in the general area of study, which will be included in WTSA Resolution 2 in the essay appendix. That is for example, ITUT study of 17 needs to seek a solutions for child online protections. So we agree with that sentence. So I think that in our security point of view, identifying threat and risk is first step, and then next step is to providing a solutions to mitigate threat and risk. So if you could provide a threat relevant to the child online protections, and then we could consider how to mitigate threat by providing a solutions. So that is our approach. So as I mentioned, contribution is very important. Input is very important to meet the objective of this correspondence. So thank you very much. And I see Said, you have the floor.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Thank you. I just would like to highlight for our colleagues here that we're supposed to finalize the gap analysis by end of May. So we strongly recommend to get the contribution as soon as possible, so we can be ready by this timeline. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Said. So I think that it's time to go to the next items, that is any other business. So before going to the next item, any other business, are there any issues regarding the item from item 1 to item 4? Thank you. So I now move to the any other business items. Are there any other business items? I see Arnold.
Yes.
The
Thank you, Chair. But this time it's a real any other business. So in fact, due to my trip in Australia, I could not help Honey in the way I wanted. But I will propose some reformatting of the minutes according to our practice in the correspondence group, especially with the way we do it. But I will do that offline with her if this is possible. That's it.
Very much honored for your potential inputs. So with this, I would like to go to the final items, close of these meetings. So before closing these meetings, are there anyone who would like to express, have some issues? Yes, David.
Do we have a date for the next meeting?
So yes, I think I need to invite Hani to provide a date for the next meetings.
Thank you, Chair. So we do not have a date for the next meeting yet. But that will be communicated via email on the mailing list.
Thank you very much. Next meeting will be informed through the email list. So with this, I would like to go, before I close, I thank you organizers of this Global Age Assurance Standard Summit to allow us, ITU, to hold this second meeting of correspondence group on child and protection. Actually, this community is a very large community, and then we also inform our correspondence activities. Our role is to providing a technical solutions by providing a technical standard, and so I think that that we need posting, or we need to identify what's the gaps, and then what we need to do for the next period. But yes, please.
If I may respond, I'm Ian Corby from the organisers. I also work with the Age Verification Providers Association and EU Consent, and obviously this conference is something of a one-off because we are lucky to have benefited from funding from the Safe Online Fund, which is part of UNICEF, and many people, or hosted by UNICEF, many people will be familiar with them. But it's great to have the ITU's interest in this area because you provide, I think, through over 100 years of history, an enduring, sustainable focus for some of this work on standards. So we're really pleased that the ITU is showing an interest in this area and want to do all we can to work with you going forward. So thank you for coming here as well.
Thank you very much. So with this, if you don't have any further comments, I thank you all the participants on site and then remote for your participation and active discussion and providing a comment and contributions. And then, so as I mentioned, the next date of the third meeting of the correspondence will be informed through the correspondence group email list. Please subscribe to the email list. And then again, I'm a chairman of Study Group 17, So on behalf of the Study Group 17, I thank you organizers for this summit to allow us to host this second meeting of the correspondence for the child and life reflections. So now I close the second meeting of correspondence. Thank you very much. Meeting is closed.
Thank you, Chair. Bye.
Thank you, Hani, for your excellence. Shirley.
Thank you, Chair.
So if you like have your name, please.
He's young. Thank you.
아까 다 참석할 때 스캔을 받아야 되는데 다 참석할 때 안 받은 그럼 됐어. 아니 저 한이가 보내달라고 그래서 보내줘야 줄었어. 우리가 지금 현재 온라인에 스캔한 게 33명이었나?
네.
오케이, 그럼 됐어.
Having this meeting. I'm Ian. You remember I came to Geneva, I think. You may have been there for the ITU sessions for the COP. I spoke on EU consent with John Carr. I think John Carr has spoken a few times.
Yes, together with Tony.
Yes, Tony was one day and I was on the other day.
Yes.
But
you attend first day.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. But you know, obviously, as this group moves forward, it would be great if we can figure out how we work properly and integrate with the Secretariat. I don't know if the ITU has a process for having appointed experts that advise groups like this, or what the situation is in terms of how contracts work and how that can happen going forward. But we'd love to be engaged, but we're not currently, as the Trade Association or as EU Consent, a formal member of the ITU. Now we were looking at maybe having the UK government sponsor us, because I forget the name of the English guy who always comes to your meeting.
So Tony Holmes.
Tony Holmes, there we go.
Tony Holmes is the head.
So I was going to try and work through Tony to see if they would sort of introduce us as a UK rep, and then we could obviously
I think
participate.
Tony Holmes is currently working for BP International.
Yes.
But representing a minister.
Right.
So I think we need to contact.
Yeah.
And then, so first thing, we don't have a work items in United States. So first thing we need to do is to agree on new work items.
Yes.
That is a first step. So actually, as I mentioned,
It's a bit tricky. Yes.
There is some
instead of 4, just so we'll have to give some feedback.
Some negative consequence by using for using end-to-end encryption.
Yes.
So to protect a child online. So that is some negative consequences. So we need to provide these solutions to resolve.
And also we have to stay within the scope of